Welcome back to the Beauty Lab podcast. My name is Velia and this is my co-host Monina. And today we are going to be picking Monina's brain about dermaplaning. So Monina, we see this all over social media. Like I can't even scroll for 2 seconds without seeing somebody's powdery face and a razor blade, and it looks like they're
removing tons of stuff.
Yeah, removing tons of stuff, like they're sanding wood. Welcome to the Beauty Lab podcast, your drive time resource for all things beauty, health, and wellness. We're your hosts and favorite beauty nerds, Monina and Velia.
Join us as we debunk myths, explore the latest trends, and dive deep into the science behind your favorite products. We'll interview industry experts and answer your burning beauty questions in 30 minutes or less.
Right? That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it looks really satisfying to see that coming off, right?
honestly, it looks like, what are you even doing?
Yeah, for me, and I'll explain dermaplaning a little bit more, but I think that particular clip, which I think a lot of us have seen lately, it's more of a marketing, it's a visual, right? Because with dermaplaning, what we're doing is we're removing the vellus hair, which is that little peach fuzz. And even I was just explaining earlier, my dark hair, I do have peach fuzz, but you can't even see it, even though it's dark. It's just so fine. And I think the powder on the face is more of a marketing visual, so that you can see what it's doing, that it's actually removing stuff.
So if you do ever have a dermaplane facial, you're not going to be covered in
in powder, no.
Powder and sawdust. You're not going to be covered in sawdust
when you're
or powder.
No, I don't think anyone wants to feel like they have sawdust on their face.
Yeah, what the heck? That's strange.
And I can even explain to you like what the process is. But to go back to your initial question.
Yeah, like what is dermaplaning?
Yes.
What is a dermaplane facial? I didn't even ask you the question.
Yes, let me explain to you what dermaplaning is. But before we do that, let me give you a little history. So back in the day, dermaplaning was only utilized in med spas and dermatology offices. And what it was to remove the excess vellus hair and excess dead skin, so that when they go in for like a peel, a chemical peel, a really deep peel, or even when they go in for plastic surgery, they want the skin to be as smooth as possible.
Okay.
So that's kind of where that whole concept started. But a few years later, a medical esthetician decided, what if we just use this in the facial room as another form of helping people with things like pigmentation, all the excess hair on the face. We could remove all that. So then she introduced that as a facial treatment. And up until like a year or two ago, California, the state board was not even allowing that as a treatment that we can offer in California as far as estheticians are concerned. So it has been around for a long time. It's just that in California, we just recently were given the okay and given the proper training and certification so that we can offer dermaplaning in our treatment room. So let me tell you now what dermaplaning is. So dermaplaning is a professional exfoliating treatment by a licensed and trained esthetician, because estheticians don't necessarily know how to dermaplane or are allowed to dermaplane unless they've been trained. There's a lot of training involved.
Right.
Because we're using a sterile surgical scalpel.
Right.
It looks like a scalpel, we call it a blade. The one that I utilize is considered it's called a butter blade.
Okay.
So it doesn't have that sharp point at the end, which I think makes people feel a lot more at ease having that on their face. But yes, it's a surgical medical grade blade that we're using.
Okay.
And the blade is carefully maneuvered over the face at a specific angle, and that helps to remove the vellus hair, or the peach fuzz is what we refer to.
Right.
Okay. And also the additional benefit using this particular blade is we can remove several weeks of layers of dead skin off the skin. So essentially your skin is left looking smooth and hair free.
Okay.
Basically, yeah.
So then what are the benefits of dermaplane facial?
Okay, so like I already mentioned, the skin does look a lot smoother, so we don't have all that hair buildup. So it's instantly smoother. It's also brighter because, again, like I said, for me, if you've got dark little peach fuzz all over, it actually can cause a shadow. So I actually, a few years ago, I had a bride where I was doing her facial, and at the time I wasn't offering dermaplaning, and I noticed that her forehead just looked like almost a half a shade darker than the rest of her face. And when I looked carefully, it was because she had tons of vellus hair, and it was causing like this almost pigmentation all over her forehead. So of course I recommended she just get it removed, and of course her skin looked immediately brighter when she removed that. So that's a benefit. Skin definitely looks brighter. And because we don't have all that excess hair and dead skin, because remember, we're removing dead skin, it also increases the absorption and efficacy of all of your serums, your moisturizers, and things like that. So that's another nice benefit. Also, for those of you who've had this, right, you have all this excess hair and you try to put on makeup, it almost looks cakey, or by the end of the day, it just doesn't look even anymore. And it's because you've got all that excess vellus hair and dead skin. So it obviously, without all that, it makes the application of your makeup look so much more smooth and even. And you also use less. I find like when I don't have all that vellus hair, I use less product as well. And then of course it's a gentle exfoliation. It helps with the skin texture. It also helps promote cellular turnover, which helps your skin look younger. It also helps over time with pigmentation, also fine lines and wrinkles over time. So if you're doing this on a regular basis. Those are just some of the benefits, but yeah.
Okay, so then going back to like what we were talking about a minute ago with people online doing this, so there's obviously like a DIY version of this, which is terrifying to me because that's a blade, that's your face, that's scary. It scares me, and when I see that, I mean, I don't know. So first of all, is it even safe to do it yourself? And second of all, are the razors that you can get or the blades that you can get online, are they like, how do they compare to a professional?
Sure. Okay, so when you're buying these blades or razors online, obviously it's convenient, it's there, you could do it on your own. The only similarities between a dermaplane blade and a razor or something you buy online is that they both remove that vellus hair, that peach fuzz.
Okay.
That's it. That's the only similarity.
Okay.
Even shaving with this regular razors, like men that shave, the only thing that's similar to that and dermaplaning is you're removing that top layer, that vellus hair, right?
Okay.
So again, like, because it is very convenient, it doesn't offer the same benefits.
Okay.
So one of which, like we just said, it does not actually exfoliate the dead skin. So you're removing the top layer of skin, and that's pretty much it that you're getting from doing this at-home dermaplane.
Right. In air quotes.
Facial for yourself. So you're not going to get the same results, obviously, as a professional dermaplane. And let me break it down to a couple of things. Why? So let's talk about the quality of the blade, the ingredients. Store-bought blades or razors have been found to have nickel in them, and it doesn't sound like a terrible thing, but for some reason nickel is a skin irritant. So if you're dealing with a blade that has nickel, it can cause allergic reactions. If you nick yourself, you're really gonna end up causing some inflammation and irritation in the skin. So you definitely want to stay away from razors or blades that have nickel in them. Okay. The dermaplane blades are usually a surgical grade blade. So the material is completely different. Dermaplane blades are usually they're sterilized, so they're usually arrive in their own packages.
Okay. Like
So individual package, yes, for sanitation purposes. If you have gone online and you bought like a box of blades and they're not individually wrapped, you will have to disinfect them yourself.
Oh, I bet nobody knows
and
that.
most people probably don't. Yeah. So if you've bought one and you're going to use it, just know that you want to sterilize them
Okay.
before you use them. And then of course the Dermaplane blades are designed specifically for it to glide across the face. When you're using a Dermaplane, we're taught to do several passes, like between 6 to 8 passes,
Okay.
because the first 2 to 3 is removing the vellus hair.
Mm.
The next couple of passes or planes
Mhm.
is we're removing that dead layer of skin.
Mm.
And it has to be at a specific angle. So that's my next reason why the Dermaplane blades are much more superior, is because the technique and the precision. So with a Dermaplane blade, it has to be, in order to achieve the correct removal of dead skin, it has to be at a 45-degree angle.
Okay.
So it's really hard to achieve this 45-degree angle
Yeah.
if you're doing it yourself.
It
There's like
is.
no way.
Right.
There's absolutely
it's like
no
cutting
way.
your own hair.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, you have to hold your hands at a certain angle,
right.
you know, in order to achieve the
right. Yeah. That's why it's hard to even like just cut your own bangs
Right.
at an angle, right? It's almost impossible. So yeah, so imagine trying to hold this blade
Yeah.
at a 45-degree angle. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
And then doing this incorrectly, having a bad technique, that's where you're going to get nicks and cuts, and which also lead to breakouts, really bad breakouts.
Okay.
So yeah, super hard to achieve this smooth look.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even hold the blade properly, right? Of course, I guess you could have your best friend come over and try to
That's
do
a lot
that
of
for
trust.
you. Exactly.
Imagine.
So, I mean, of course, if you can do it somehow, please let us know if you've been able to.
Yeah. If you've been doing this at home.
Yeah, and you've seen. But again, like I said, I'm not going to lie to you. You're not getting the exfoliation factor in there, and that's one of the big benefits of dermaplaning. Is you're not just removing the vellus hair, but you're exfoliating the dead skin.
Yeah, if you're buying these blades and you're using it at home and you're only removing the hair and you're not even getting the exfoliation, you might as well just be using your same razor that you use for your legs.
Yeah.
Because it's fast.
Yeah.
It's like you're probably not going to cut yourself or,
Right.
you know, there's no like learning curve.
Right.
And you're going to remove the hair.
Yes, exactly. That's what we always say is those Dermaplane DIY razors are just a more expensive
Yeah,
razor.
a big razor, right?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
exactly. So again, going back to the exfoliation factor, yeah, you're removing that hair, but you're exfoliating that top layer of dead skin, and that's how you get all those benefits that I talked about earlier. And the store-bought razors only do that one thing for
Okay.
you.
Mhm.
And so you're missing that. The whole benefit of dermaplaning is removing the dead skin
Okay.
on the face. So
All right.
Mhm.
Well, before we get to the next question,
Mhm.
if you're listening to this podcast on Spotify or Apple, please take a moment right now to just press pause and give us a review or a rating. It really, really helps us. If you're watching it on YouTube, hit subscribe. You know, if you want to hit the like, that would be awesome too. Okay, so my next question for you, Monina, is what should somebody look for when booking a professional dermaplane facial?
Okay, so the first thing you want to ask your esthetician is, first of all, ask them if they offer it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ask what type of blade they use. So the one that we usually recommend, it's called a 10R blade or a butter blade. That's like your go-to. It's like the best one on the market because it's sterile, it's medical grade, it's made specifically to glide on the skin. Also, when you're dermaplaning, we do put certain things on the skin. Like we'll cleanse the skin. We'll use an AHA or BHA serum or mixture that will help to kind of degrease the skin. But then we also then apply a nourishing oil on the skin to help with the gliding. That helps prevent those nicks and cuts and stuff like that. So again, that's another reason why you would rather do the dermaplanings as opposed to the razors at home. Is all those prep that you're
Right,
doing.
the before and after care, just even
Yes.
knowing why
Yes.
you would even need to do that. I'm sure
Yeah.
people don't have any clue.
No, and I mean, I have to be honest with you, I've never bought the online razors, so I'm not sure if they even come with an aftercare kit or they have some type of degreaser, like I was saying, or a nourishing oil. But all that's so important, you guys, when you're going to be doing this. whether it's in the treatment room or at home. So the other thing is you want to ensure that the esthetician is following sanitation protocols, because again, the skin is vulnerable, you're breaking through, you're exfoliating, you're changing the pH, all this stuff. The skin can become a little bit more vulnerable, so you really, really want to make sure that they're following sanitation protocols. Before you even start, you want to discuss your skin type, make sure that this treatment is even beneficial for you right now, or if you've got certain things happening on your skin that may not be beneficial at this time, you may need to wait, or if you're on certain medications, things like, there's a lot of contraindications to dermaplaning. It's not for everyone. So I really highly recommend that you talk to your esthetician and make sure that this is the right treatment for you at this time.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, follow up aftercare protocol. There's certain things that you want to use and things you don't want to use for the day or two after. So make sure you're hydrating, wearing your sunscreen, because again, you will become a little bit more sun sensitive afterwards. I suggest that maybe you just go home that day and not spend a day at the park or something.
Yeah, don't go to the beach after dermaplaning.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh,
yeah. So those are just a couple of things you want to look into before booking a dermaplane.
Okay. Wow, that is a lot. Sometimes my mind is just boggled by all of the DIY options that we have, knowing how much training goes into. I remember when you were going through your dermaplaning training, and you have to check all these boxes and do all of these things in order to even get certified.
Yeah, even in the certification class, she wouldn't even let us use the blade side. We had to use the blunt side and practice that on ourselves and then on each other,
right,
before we're even allowed to use, because you can hurt somebody.
Of course,
you can really hurt their skin. You can cause an allergic reaction. I mean, heaven forbid you cause someone to inflame and break out, or their acne gets worse, or whatever is happening on their skin. But yeah, when it comes to dermaplaning, you guys, it is a very extensive training, and it's not taken lightly. When we as estheticians are even having a consultation with someone, because like I said, it's not for everybody.
Right.
And we want to make sure that you're not on certain medications, you don't have a certain blood, like if you have a blood disease or you're on blood thinners, we may not be able to do it for you at that time, but yeah, talk to your esthetician.
Okay. Well, are there any final thoughts that you wanted to share about a dermaplane facial?
No, just that if you're interested in looking into it, the pricing, it's not that bad for what it's doing, and you don't have to do it every month. This could be something you do like every 3 or 4 months. It just really depends like how fast your vellus hair grows back.
Okay.
That usually is what causes people to come back in. And it's funny because that's such a nice benefit, but that's not the only reason to get a dermaplane. Like I said, it's the exfoliation.
Right.
And then all the other benefits follow from that.
Right. So, okay. Well, thank you for all that information. We do have a question from a listener.
Okay.
And this is from Linda from San Jose. And she says, I have a lot of peach fuzz on my face, but I also have acne. So can you dermaplane on acne skin?
Thanks, Linda. That's a great question. And the answer is it depends. So remember, we're holding a blade to your face at a 45-degree angle. So if you have active acne, you have open sores, or you've got the inflamed pimple, if you try to go over that with a blade, it's not going to be a very smart thing to do. So what I suggest is it depends on the acne. So if you don't have raised bumps and you're doing it for the pigmentation, like maybe you've had some acne breakouts and now it's starting to heal, it's not active, actually that would be a perfect time to get it done, because you're removing the dead skin, the vellus hair, which it sounds like that's one reason you want to do it, but it's also going to help with the post-inflammatory pigmentation that we usually get after a breakout, like those brown spots. So it's actually going to be very beneficial because you're going to exfoliate that stained skin, basically.
So you can do it, you just have to do it in a certain timing and not
Certain
when
time.
your acne is active and
Inflamed
and mad.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So the answer is it just depends, and we got to make sure it's the right time.
Okay, well, that was all very eye-opening. Well, that is all the time we have today. So thank you again for all of the information, Monina, and thank you for listening every week. And we appreciate your support. I'm Velia.
I'm Monina.
And until next time, keep experimenting with your beauty routine.